Belgium, the country of beer, delicious chocolate, and world-famous fries. But is it any good to start your business there? Let's talk about it now! Hi, I'm Oliver, and welcome back to the channel AskMeStartup, where we talk about startups, small businesses, and the world that surrounds them. If you're new here, please consider subscribing and pushing the notification bell so YouTube lets you know whenever we're uploading new content. If you're deep into startups, if you have a startup, if you plan to start a business, if you run a small business, please feel free to download our free startup checklist, link in the description below. Okay, today's topic, Belgium. Is it any good to start your business there? Now, before we can understand whether or not Belgium is a good country to start your business, we have to get the basics first. So Belgium is a Central European country with Brussels being the capital. Brussels might ring a bell because it is very often in the news because it's the headquarters of the European Union. That also gives you an indication that there is a lot of bureaucracy and a lot of know-how in terms of legal frameworks, etc., and politics in that area. The country itself is divided into 3 autonomous regions, with Vlaanderen, the Dutch-speaking part in the north, with Walloon, the French-speaking part in the south, and Brussels, the central area of the country. That already gives you an indication that this is a multicultural country with its fights and its pros and cons on that as well, which has some similarities to, for instance, Switzerland, which also has different languages in the same country. As we can see from the map, Belgium is really central in the European Union. Hence, it is very well connected with all its neighboring countries, and due to the fact that they speak different languages, it is also very intercultural, meaning it has soaked up a lot of cultures from other countries, from other parts, and embedded them in their own Belgian culture these days. Which is also good because then, of course, the Belgian market represents parts of the bigger market, the European Union. So if we want to understand whether or not Belgium is a great place to start your business, we need to take a look at the working population first. And here we can see that there is an above average education level within the society, meaning that 90% roughly plus have a secondary education, which is great because that enlarges the pool of people that you can hire for your business. However, the skills distributed is not among the best in Europe. Hence, if you have specific needs, you might not find them in Belgium. I cannot go into the specifics here, but most likely things like car industry specifics will be much better found in Germany, for instance. In general, we can say that they have a very good legal framework, that they claim themselves to have tax or beneficial taxes for companies, which I'm not so quite sure about because their way of taxing companies is maybe not so good as, let's say, the Swiss or the Dutch or the Irish. And they are very restrictive in terms of accrediting visa. Which takes me to the next point, because visas are a very important part in the journey of Europe's aim to become a leading startup place in the next decade. But for Belgium, I would say the situation is mediocre. They claim to have good laws and they do have websites that guide you if you're an investor or if you want to start a business as an entrepreneur, but they clearly are not on top of the game. First, it's very difficult to navigate these websites, which is an indication that they're not really looking to, encourage people outside the European Union to start the business there. Second, I would say that it is not necessarily the most optimized websites. And if you click on certain links where you want to understand whether or not you can bring your labor force or the required talents to Belgium, you get to a dead end. Sites are wrongly interlinked. Link the official websites down below so you can take a look yourself. Now, are there any ways to get a visa to Belgium? Well, there is, but it is costly. So if you plan to get a residential visa for Belgium, for instance, you might need, let's say, €500,000, and you might need to invest them into a company. That would then give you the right to have a residential permit if you're a non-EU citizen to take residency in Belgium, and have the free travel in the European Union with it. Now, if you're able to spend that much money, that could go also as what people call the golden visa, where you just simply pay upfront for an investment into anything, jobs, companies, and hence are or have the potential to get the citizenship on the long run as well. Furthermore, you're also allowed to bring your family, which of course is important to everybody who wants to have a citizenship or a residential permit somewhere else. They call that investor visa. But if you go on the website for investment in Belgium, the official governmental website, you will not find any clues on that properly listed on that website. So, fact of the matter is, those golden visas are a political thing and they're not very well perceived by other European unions. But nonetheless, this is a good way for a lot of companies to attract rich people from outside Europe. But for startups, neglected. Which also brings me to the last point. Which big companies are you aware of that are Belgium? Maybe you know some. The biggest you might know, but you might not know it's Belgium, is Anheuser-Busch, the largest beer manufacturer in the world. Which is great because, of course, we know Belgians love beer, and hence it makes sense that they have one of the largest beer manufacturers in the world. Nonetheless, the company name is not out there because usually they sell their brands, their specific beers. Hence, none of the really big companies in Belgium are actually publicly well known, I would say. At least not to me. Which is an indication that there's not much to gain these days. Furthermore, if you look at startups, I was trying to figure out which startups are important in Belgium these days. It's hard to find anything that pops into your mind that you would say, yes, that's great. I might be wrong, but from my perspective, Belgium is a mediocre country. It's not really a very startup-friendly hub, but it's also not a very startup-unfriendly hub. But they are not clearly structured. And I think they're doing it worse than France, for instance, which has a very clear, very effective structure to support startups. They claim to do something for startups in Belgium, but they're not doing it properly. Hence, I would say, is it the right place to start your business? My answer would be, maybe not. Maybe choose somewhere else. But don't give up. Here's a link to the best countries for startups in Europe. I'm sure you'll find a better country there, and I'm sure you will find your country, your preferred country there as well. All right, everybody. I hope this short video was helpful for you. Just leave a comment down below if you've been starting a business in Belgium, or if you plan to start a business in Belgium, or if you plan to start a business in general and have some questions about it. I'm looking forward to your comments and the discussions, and I'm going to see you next time.